Hello. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Really excited for another Katana webinar. And this one's a special one because we're diving into some real life examples of how AI can be utilized in businesses today. And I'm super excited to have Helena join us today, all the way from Vancouver. How are you doing today, Helena?
Doing very well. Thank you very much for having me.
Awesome. Yeah, and it's we were just chatting as we usually do in Canada on the weather. So today in Mississauga, it is snowy and cold. We dug ourselves out of about a foot and a half of snow, or 60 centimeters, keeping it international here. How's the weather, Helena, where you're located over in Vancouver?
It's a bit windy today. We went from having a little bit of snow for 2 weeks, which was very unusual, to very cold weather under 0 degrees. So it was like -1, -2, and then now we've got a massive windstorm. So we'll see what happens. That hopefully the trees hold up.
Nice. Well, it's a little bit warmer than here, that's for sure. Um, so today we're going to be diving into the uh, aspects of how to utilize technology and especially AI in your business and some challenges you might run into adopting AI. But as we're going through here, we don't have the chat enabled, but we do have the Q&A enabled. So Helena and myself will be monitoring the Q&A, and we'll try and answer your questions as we're going through the conversation today. So we do want to try and keep it conversational, answer questions as they come up, but we will also leave 15 minutes of Q&A towards the end of the presentation so we can make sure to address any questions. And if there is a question that we can address, we'll be sure to follow up with you after the call. So why don't we dive in here and get kick-started with the
Fabulous.
presentation. Go ahead and share my screen. And Helena, just want to make sure, is that showing up full screen for you?
It is indeed. Yeah, thank you.
All right, awesome. So like I had said earlier, today we're going to be focusing on how to future-proof your business and building a tech stack today for the AI tools of tomorrow. We're constantly hearing about AI. We're mostly using AI in our everyday lives already, but in our personal lives and our business lives, those are often two very different things. And so today we're going to be focused on how we can start to bring forward AI tools and start to utilize them within your business. And potentially some of the tools you're used to using every day already have AI enabled. And we're going to talk through how you can start to test those out and use those today. Helena, maybe you could give us a little idea around what AI means to you.
I could talk for hours on that question. uh, well, I mean, at the end of the day, the work that we do as accountants is heavy. There's a lot of transactions that we deal with. There's lots of work to do. There can be a lot of monotony depending on the type of work that you're doing, repetitive work. And so, where I see AI super helpful for our business is being able to help us automate things that are, easy enough to automate, and help us to improve our data efficiency and data quality so that we can do a better job serving our clients. And what that means then is that through that automation, we can spend more time supporting our clients with the bigger questions and bigger issues that they have in their business to help them grow and make a bigger impact on the planet, and less time on, the day-to-day data entry. So we've been leveraging AI. We're early adopters, and so for as long as I can remember, as a means to help us do a better job serving our clients, and also making our lives more fun too, right? So we're not doing the boring work as much.
Yes, absolutely. So take yourself out of sort of doing that monotonous work, letting the technology accomplish that so that you can really add more value into those businesses, which
Mhm.
make a lot of sense. So here's a overview of what we'll be talking about today, just defining level setting around what AI is, some of the challenges to adopting AI. We'll dive into some actual tools that we can show and how they're being utilized today for a manufacturing company that might want to employ a tech stack that is AI enabled. We'll talk about overcoming those AI challenges and then preparing your tech stack for AI. Before we dive into some of those things, why don't we actually introduce who's speaking today? So Helena, I'll give you a chance to introduce yourself.
You're very kind. Thank you, Sean. So I'm Helena Patience. I'm a CPA, CMA. As Sean mentioned, I'm in Canada, and I am the CEO of Entreflow Consulting Group. We've been around since about 2015 doing financial support for businesses. And we started off doing fractional CFO work and FP&A work for small to medium-sized businesses, and then quickly realized that it's hard to do that work if the bookkeeping isn't up to date or not up to
Mhm.
scratch. And it's really hard to forecast off bad books. And so we then added bookkeeping, controllership, and later tax. We did things completely opposite to a typical CPA firm and leaned into technology, as you could probably imagine, to help automate the compliance work so that we could spend more time doing the fractional CFO work. So we've had a team of implementation specialists working with us since I don't know, 2017, 2018 or so, to help us to implement processes and software to help automate our clients' businesses. So it's a little bit about us. Yeah. And we've, like I said, we've been using AI in all the apps that we can wherever possible to help us get to where we need to get to faster.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the exciting things I have in every conversation I have with you, Helena, is how connected you are to technology. So you're always sort of up to speed on the latest and greatest tools. I remember we were at Get Connected in Toronto, and you were talking about an AI tool, and that was 6 months ago that was on some sort of financial product, and you were like deep into it. So it's really cool how you're always sort of staying up to speed. And I think that's like your superpower is you have this financial acumen and background, being professionally trained as an accountant, but then you have this sort of thirst for knowledge and technology that I think really helps you add a lot of value to anyone that you're speaking with, but specifically the businesses that you're supporting. So thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate
You
it.
just say call it what it is. I'm just a nerd, right?
Well, I am a fellow nerd. I am very into technology. A bit of a product geek. So my name's Sean Coltis. I'm the head of channel partnerships at Katana. I've been in the manufacturing space for about 15 years, working for a few different ERP and inventory management solutions, and I've been at Katana for 4 years. And it's been really exciting seeing the growth of Katana over those 4 years as our products continue to improve and grow and help more and more businesses. And then over the last year or so, really focusing on AI. And today I was just so excited to see and hear our head of research and development, Tarvo, talking about how AI is going to be unleashed across Katana through these different agents. So really exciting times at Katana, and really happy to be here talking through AI today. So I'll just explain a little bit about who Katana is. So Katana is an inventory manufacturing management solution. We have unlimited users, unlimited SKUs and integrations in Katana. So we want to really help businesses utilize the most out of the solution and having it utilized across the entire company with all those users having access. And why our customers have a lot of success is the system's easy to use. And you can see that in our average customer is actually up and running on Katana within a 6-week period. So when you think of the average implementation of an ERP or traditional inventory solution, often that can take 6 months to a year to actually get off the ground, where Katana, we can get up and running very quickly because we have those native integrations as well as the systems that is easy to use and awesome support. And we're helping over 1,500 businesses across the globe, with most of our businesses that we help being in North America and in the US. And you can see one of the things that Katana helps is our businesses grow profitably. So businesses that are on Katana see 60% increase in sales year over year. While they're growing, though, they're seeing a decrease in the amount of inventory they need to keep on hand. So that just speaks to the amount of efficiency that business is able to gain while utilizing Katana. And that directly will implicate or impact the profitability of that business. So as they're growing, as they're scaling and increasing revenue, they're actually increasing the profitability of that business. So that's a little bit about Katana. Elena, why don't you tell us a little bit about Entreflow?
Sure. Well, I mentioned a little bit already,
Yeah.
so yeah, and we actually work with a lot of manufacturing and inventory heavy clients. So we've been implementing inventory applications for years, and we've understood the pains of most manufacturing companies that are run on outdated systems or spreadsheets at best. But yeah, we've And we work with about 200 clients a year. We help our clients grow quite significantly year over year because we're able to spend time analyzing the business, looking into what's going on, understanding, what is that minimum inventory they need to have on hand so that they're not overbuying. Looking at solving all kinds of problems like working with their vendors to get better costing or finding new vendors or what have you. So we dabble in all those sorts of things that help them be more effective. We take a bit of a educational approach with our clients as well. So, and I used to be a teacher. A fun fact most people don't know about me. I've taught all over the world, but we like to take a bit of an education approach with our clients too, so that they understand. Not that they become accountants because that's not why they started a business, but that they understand what they need to understand about their numbers and about their business, so that they can make really good decisions throughout. I find a lot of clients don't have a good understanding of, say, their financial statements. Even like they couldn't tell you what a balance sheet was. They know it, they probably should understand it, but they don't, and they don't feel necessarily comfortable to say to somebody, hey, I don't actually know what you're talking about. So we assume that and do what we can to help them to navigate the numbers and understand what's going on so they can make those good decisions, and also have those hard conversations and raise the things that we think they need to work on or improve, um, uh, and have those hard conversations so that they can actually get into improving those areas and not just carry on with inefficiencies and what have you. So that's a little bit more about us. And like I said, I'm in BC, but we're across the country. We've got 23 people on our team, all in Canada. And we support lots of high growth businesses is basically our niche. So we're working with clients either from incorporation through to past acquisition, supporting them with all their growth stages.
Yeah, you can really see how Helena engulfs herself or in the company in technology. At Katana, you guys are certified advisory member, meaning that you provide direct product feedback to our product team. You're a certified implementation partner and a certified sales partner. So you've got all the badges at Katana, and we appreciate your partnership for sure.
Likewise, likewise.
So what is AI? We're hearing it more and more every day. So it really comes down to sort of three larger buckets. So one is it mimics human intelligence. So as you are working with AI, it'll respond and act much like a human might in its responses. So it'll use natural language that you can communicate with, and it makes it really understandable. So it can be very helpful in many different tasks from that perspective, whether it be writing emails, or analyzing a lot of data and communicating it back to you in a digestible format. It also can help automate decision making. So for myself, I'll often be faced with challenges, whether it's a decision I need to make within my department at Katana, and I'll put in sort of all the information I can think of into ChatGPT and ask it to analyze gaps and help me make that decision. And then finally, and I think this is one of the most powerful aspects of the AI tool or AI technology, is the adaptive learning component. So it'll actually get better. So the more and more I've utilized ChatGPT and added data sets and chatbots to ChatGPT, it's gotten better and better. So understanding my tonality and things like that, it provides me with more accurate and usable answers. So that's sort of high level what AI is. Helena, we chatted about it a little bit off the hop, but when you think of AI from a basic standpoint, how would you define it, and maybe what are some examples of you using it today?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you're training a machine of some kind to do certain tasks for you and help you to find information and resources, right? At the end of the day, right? It's there to augment our work, not to take over our work. I know there's a lot of people who get a bit scared about, the AI robots taking over our lives and our jobs, and we won't have life after this. I was actually talking with somebody a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about jumping onto the workforce in the late 70s, early 80s, where everyone was talking about these computers that they were all going to have at their desks, and how it was going to make their lives so much easier that, they were going to be able to work shorter days because these computers were going to do all this work for them. And we both had a good laugh about it because the average person is working more hours per week now with these computers than without the computers, and back then people were certainly concerned about their jobs, the same as we are right now. It's the same kind of cycle all over again. It's just that our jobs are going to change, and it doesn't necessarily mean our lives are going to be easier at the end of the day, right? So, but it's going to change the work that we're doing. I think from an accounting standpoint, what's happening with the implementation of AI into our work is that the unfortunate thing is that people coming out of university wanting to come into the workforce, where they would have been doing, more manual data entry and slowly working through and understanding accounting and what's happening and how the data and, from the balance sheet and the P&L relate to each other and what have you, kind of grasping all the concepts that they theoretically learned in university. We have to throw them straight into the deep end now because the apps are doing so much of that kind of basic data entry work that works at a slower pace to help them to grasp what's going on. So I find it can be really challenging for newcomers to the industry with the technology because they're jumping into the deep end and they're tackling more difficult transactions earlier on, and they don't have that kind of time to sit with transactions and fully understand what's going on as much. So it's I think it's making it a little bit challenging for our industry. At the same time, it's helping them to get to that higher value level work a lot faster. So it's a little bit of like start running and then you get to that more exciting work quite quickly. As far as our journey's gone, I mean, we've been leveraging a lot of really cool tools since like I said, the 2017 or so. I know there's a couple people on the call today that are using otter.ai. I mean, we started using that in 2020, back when it was horrendous. And you'd look at the transcript afterwards and there was grammar errors all over the place, and they would misunderstand a lot of the words that I was saying because I have a bit of a funny accent. So, it was cool to have there as backup, but it's certainly like you wouldn't copy paste that and send that transcript to a client because it was pretty bad. But it was really cool technology just to have, just to see, what's possible and how that's going to make our meeting minutes taking a lot easier, right? Because that's always a concern with accounting. You want to be able to, have the record of what we talked about and make sure the team's all clear about what they do need to do next. We use Fireflies for our meeting minute taking, although Google Meet just came out with a really cool and competitive feature set as well. And it's great for getting that transcript, getting the audio transcript as well. So, and then the summaries are getting better. At the start, it was always a little bit iffy, but that's helping us with our meeting minute taking. And the one tool I wanted to share that was really, really ahead of its time is an application called Chatted.ai that we started using in 2018 that connected to and I'm sure there's probably a couple people on the call here that remember it or have used it before, but you connected it to your QuickBooks Online file for your client. So it was nice and secure, right? We're not talking about throwing our client's data into ChatGPT and then running some analytics. It was, closed system. So we could connect our client's file to Chatted.ai, and then they had a natural language querying tool built into it. So you could ask a question like, okay, what are my top 5 clients who pay me 90 days plus on a regular basis or something like that. And then you could see who your problem clients were. So to go pull that out of QuickBooks would take, a number of steps, but we'd also use it in our client meetings because we meet with our clients once a month and to go over their financials. And if they came up with a question, then we could just answer Chat really quickly and come up with the answer, and it would do graphs and charts and all that kind of fun stuff. Unfortunately, they changed their direction, but that's where I'm really looking forward to seeing QuickBooks go with their AI eventually, where we can actually use that from an analytics perspective as we go. So those are kind of some of the things we've used. We also use Sift analytics for our reporting, and they have a really cool feature in their application. They do budgeting and forecasting and KPI tracking, financial statements, a lot of things. But they also have a review section in their app where it will run analytics of the QuickBooks file and then show you anomalies, duplicates, those sorts of things. That's super, super helpful for a firm owner, just to make sure that the data quality is really high, because it's, human errors are our Achilles heel, and it's always going to happen, right? So to have anything we have as a safety net to help secure us from those kinds of errors is really great, and it's fast. We don't have to go dump a bunch of data, and muck about with it in Excel.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and you kind of bring up actually a topic that was a question here. So it kind of goes into the challenges around AI and adopting AI. And so the question is, how do you deal with large language models, which is generative AI hallucinations and inventory management? So just for definition, so hallucination in AI terms is this idea that the AI kind of makes something up, right? It isn't necessarily true. So it's sort of done some reasoning and came to a conclusion that may not be true. So how do you deal with AI hallucinations in inventory management or in maybe finance?
Yeah.
And so I can answer it from Katana's question perspective, and then Helena, I think this kind of gets into the challenges of adopting AI. So
Yeah, for sure.
when we look at Katana, one of the things that we're focused on is what's called agents. So an agent would be an AI tool that is for a specific purpose. And so the tighter that purpose is, the more accurate the AI will be. So for example, if we're using AI to help manage inventory, if you were to just have an AI tool on top of Katana that you're querying, and it's looking at your entire database and you can ask any question, the likelihood of a hallucination would be a higher percentage. So what Katana is focused on doing is having many agents built throughout and embedded into the software itself. So it will have a specific data set and use case that it'll be utilized for to create efficiencies within that particular task or data set that will, analyze that information, provide you information, but it's specific to its role that it's been trained to do. So the better it's trained and the more specific the task, the less hallucinations that you might see. What are your thoughts on that, Helena?
Yeah, well, I'd love actually an example first. Could you give us an example of like what you're working towards there?
Yeah, and that's Janos had provided the question. So while we'll give him a chance to maybe type in the response to Helena's
Oh, sorry,
question.
I meant Sean. Sorry, the question's for you.
Oh,
Sorry. So
oh,
within the Katana context, can you give us an example of a use case where
yeah,
that those
yeah,
agents? Yeah.
yeah, for sure. So for example, if you were to look at scheduling, or let's look at reorder points in Katana,
Mhm.
for example, you might, if we just had a general AI bot, you could ask it, what should my reorder points be? And that general AI bot that maybe is monitoring your sales orders, your purchase orders, your current inventory levels, and it's just got so much information to take into account to come to a final conclusion. It can misinterpret what your
Mhm.
question is, and that can lead to sort of inaccurate answers or hallucinations. So in Katana, what we would do is have that AI bot specifically on the task that you're looking to do, or that AI agent. So on reorder points, for example, which is on our inventory screen, there is a automation button that will, this isn't available today, but this is what we're working on in the R&D department, where you would be able to analyze current sales, reorder points, and volumes to identify what the optimal level
Mhm.
of your reorder points would be. So it has a specific task. It's located in the area and looking at the data that are particularly relevant to that
Mhm.
calculation, and then it's giving you suggestions based on that. So it's sort of trained to do a specific task within Katana.
So you're giving it a narrower set of data, so it's likely to come up with a better response, right?
Exactly.
And are
Yeah.
you able to then feed it back information? So if it's like, because the inventory is very difficult, right?
Mhm.
So you might have a situation where you have and a lot of manufacturing companies experienced this during the pandemic, but one component or two components that usually would take a couple of weeks to reach you are now taking 3 months because you had to order them from a new supplier for whatever reason. So would you be able to feed it back information to say, okay, that item which typically from order to receiving would take 3 weeks, but now it's going to take 3 months. Could you give it back that information so that it could take that into account in its calculation?
Yeah, you could. So in Katana, you do have your estimated delivery time. So one
Mhm.
is you could go and update that. So it's going to update the data set that it's analyzing.
Yeah,
But definitely you could potentially have, when it is released, the ability to say, hey, the reorder time frame for this is going to be now 3 months. How does that change the amount of on-hand inventory that I should carry? So it's a more complex question that AI can now take into consideration a broader set of data to answer that question.
that's awesome. That's awesome. And I guess to speak to your question about hallucination, I think it's a really good question, and I think there's two major concerns that I have with AI. One of them is security. I'm always like with everything being accessible in the cloud, that's a huge top of mind concern for me. And so security is always top of mind for me. And the other thing is the quality of the quality of the information that I'm getting from the system, right? So when we first when the internet was first easily accessible to everybody, and it was pretty obvious, there were some things that we could trust and there were some things that we couldn't trust, and generally speaking we were a little bit untrusting because it was new. And then with databases like Wikipedia, for instance, generally speaking we trust Wikipedia, right? And I'm not sure if you've ever done the test before, but if you go into Wikipedia site and then change some information, you'll get updated by the people who manage that page rather quickly. And I've done this live in a classroom to show people how great Wikipedia is maintained by people. And I changed a pronoun from a he to she in a classroom live, and it was changed back within 5 minutes. Someone had picked up the error. So
Wow.
the community maintains the data within Wikipedia, so which is why you should donate to them every year, so that we can trust that information. When it comes to AI, though, I think that we do need to proceed like we did with early internet cautiously, because we don't fully understand. We can't see fully all of the back end calculations and research and whatever it's doing on the back end to validate if the information is correct or not. And then with this whole risk of hallucinations, at the end of the day, you can't just take it at face value. And I don't think we'll ever get to a place where we will fully be able to take it at face value, and proceed cautiously. So yes, okay, you might be able to use it to get a reorder point or or some kind of forecasting, but you should also go and do some validation yourself as well to make sure that it's correct, and not go order twice as much inventory than you need to trust, and then turn around and say, oh well, the AI told me to. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to be responsible for your role, right? So it's there to help get you to the answers faster, but I still think that it's still part of our work to validate that information as well and ensure that we're making good decisions.
Yeah, and I think you kind of touched on so many things around the challenges of adopting AI. One is the trust factor and the security factor, right? So, when you think of ChatGPT, if you're not paying for that subscription, any data that you enter into ChatGPT is now part of the public data set of
Yeah.
ChatGPT. But if you are on the paid version of ChatGPT, the data that you enter into that is protected. So at Katana, we have a paid ChatGPT business account, and that data that we enter into ChatGPT is then housed only within the Katana company, and can only be utilized within Katana. And so that is an example of a challenge to adopting is that fear or trust. And then disrupting processes, right? So you talked about how AI is a tool. Yes, you can start to utilize, but it's something that you need to adopt the appropriate processes to utilize the information that it's providing you. So it's something that why people might not want to use it is they might have to change how they're doing things slightly. And so that can dissuade them from wanting to utilize the system. And then the other is having the right data and systems that can utilize AI. So if you're on, an on-premise version of QuickBooks Online that hasn't been updated in a few years, and it's running on a server in your back room, that data isn't really that accessible for an AI tool to
Yeah.
really help you make those decisions. And so those are some of the challenges that businesses are running into, that trust and the fear and security, the actual ability to access the data, and then just fear of change and, changing processes and how you do things, which is really relevant to adopting any technology.
Yeah.
Um, so but that's some of the challenges people are faced with today, and hopefully our goal today will be to alleviate some of those challenges and give you some strategies to address them, lower risk, and then help you adopt utilizing Katana, or sorry, AI more effectively, maybe Katana too. All right, there's a question here, but I'll hold off and we will get to the next slide. So why should manufacturing businesses adopt AI technology today? So we've talked about this briefly, but overall, businesses that are adopting AI, specifically manufacturing businesses, are seeing an increased efficiency and productivity. And you mentioned it, Helena, with the advent of the computer. It really helped individuals do more work
Mhm.
more efficiently. And so I myself certainly am now able to do much more from communicating with more people, getting tasks done at a much faster pace, where something may have taken me maybe an hour or two to complete, I can do within 10 minutes by utilizing ChatGPT or other AI tools that I have. For example, if I haven't spoken with a partner in some time and I have a call coming up with them, I can quickly go into HubSpot, and HubSpot will give me an answer of or summary of everything that's going on, and I can even ask some questions to help prepare for that meeting. So it's a
Mhm.
way that it can really help increase efficiency. It can help reduce costs and waste, as well as improve decision making. What are your big things that a manufacturing business might benefit from adopting AI, Helena?
For sure. I find with we've done a lot of conversions with manufacturing companies, moving them from outdated accounting systems over to much better systems and inventory and manufacturing applications. And data is always terrible. So the quality of the bookkeeping is always really bad. It's hard for them to pull the information out and make sense of it. So, just getting them onto new systems is a huge leg up. But a lot of the systems that they start to use, like QuickBooks or Katana or Dext or other applications like this, it's not because of the AI that they're choosing those systems, but they get a lot of extra value from the AI that's embedded in those systems, if that makes sense. So it's really the cherry on top piece of
Yes.
the value that they're getting out of those applications. And I'm really looking forward to where these applications are going and how they're going to leverage AI even more and more. Um, but you take like Dext, for instance, there's a lot that it's doing in the back end to help us to ensure that all the bills and expenses are going into the books as accurate as possible and into the right accounts. I mean, that's massive. You can imagine, like, not that long ago, somebody would have been sitting there with a piece of paper, manually typing in information, including the numbers, and you know hundreds and hundreds of errors all over the place, right? If you're doing
Right.
that all day long. So just the data quality improvement. And I say not that long ago, but some people are still doing that right now. Um, come and talk to Entreflow. We'll help you out. But we're getting higher quality data. With these AI features, we're able to do some querying, look into things, get reports, understand how things are, what's happening a lot faster. Which would have otherwise required someone to dump the data who understands Excel, spin it around a bunch, make sure, and pull some reports together. All that can be done quite quickly so that we can help people to get to decision making a lot faster. So, I think it's something that people will naturally lean into using without really necessarily making those conscious decisions when it comes to those feature sets being within applications. But and just continue to get that extra value out of the applications that they're using.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think, you'll start to utilize tools within your business, and you won't even realize that maybe you're even using AI. For
Mhm.
example, I talked about HubSpot,
Yeah.
or Zoom. It's monitoring, tracking, taking the meeting notes. It's automatically getting updated into HubSpot. And so all this data in meetings and things that are happening with people that we're working with in an everyday communication is getting uploaded and then summarized really easily for me to digest and see and react to in HubSpot. And so within Katana, how we're using a number of these tools. So we use Zoom as our meeting. It's got a great AI tool. So right when you're in a meeting, we're often having conversations, and then we'll ask the AI bot because someone said something that was like profound, or like, oh, what did they say? Like we'll ask it, hey, can you repeat what that person said? And it'll summarize it really nicely. And so it's amazing right within the Zoom application, it's got that AI tool enabled in there. HubSpot has this great summary tool that we use every day. And then we've set it up so that Slack is notifying people directly on certain conversations happening. So if a CSM, for example, customer service manager, a customer or someone else speaks with that customer service manager, or that customer service manager would be notified of that conversation. If a customer converts that is working with a partner of ours and they start, their subscription, the partner manager is notified so that they can communicate with that partner. So those are automatic things that are happening within Slack. So that's taking, that Zoom recording and meeting, it's uploading that into HubSpot. Clay is actually monitoring that and then putting a notification into Slack. So we're combining multiple tools to summarize information from meetings, update HubSpot in the notes, and then as well as communicate with people that weren't involved in those meetings about things that have happened that they might want to be aware of. And then Fathom is another really excellent note taker tool that we've been testing out, and a number of people at Katana are utilizing today. So those are some examples of how we're helping to manage meetings. When you think of preparing for meetings, Helena, are there any tools that you use often that help you with meetings or follow-ups or writing emails that you want to point out?
Yeah, I mean, we use Grammarly. I mean, I used to be an English teacher, so I'm a little particular with written grammar than I'm sure most accounting firms owners are. But our team uses Grammarly, and even G Suite has some built-in functionality now too that it didn't have before. So we started using Grammarly like years and years and years ago, just to help people with their language, because not necessarily just the spelling that could be problematic. It's the grammar, right? And the tone. The tone I think is really
Yes.
important too. I mean, we're in the business of customer service. I know that's something that people often forget, but if we don't have customers, we don't have a job. So how we communicate with our clients is really important. And so the tone piece is I think helpful for people to see how their writing might be perceived a certain way other than what they're expecting, depending on what they're doing. So there's that piece. And we were able to leverage. We use, like I mentioned, we use Firefly, so we can go back and look at, okay, what were the takeaways? What are the action items that we need to take from there? More so on the for the follow up for the meeting. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's just so many different tools out there and how you can start to utilize them. We actually built a ChatGPT bot for our partners so that they can, and in that ChatGPT, there's sort of the backend data set of all the features and functions that Katana has. It also has sort of our value proposition built into it. And so a partner that's working with Katana can go in there and ask it some questions that maybe their customer has asked them, or they might want to write an email following up after a meeting. They can use that so it can craft and point to the right components of Katana that can help solve that customer's problem. So some really easy ways that we're using ChatGPT to make that communication more effective. And I love the tonality piece. Just as a personal story, I coach actually two hockey teams, and sometimes you get frustrated with the refs, and the reffing might cause an outcome in a game that you're not thrilled about. And so you might want to go and write this scathing email to the association, and how well is that going to be received if you're just like have this terrible tone, you're so frustrated, and you send this email off. So I use ChatGPT to kind of soften the tone, and it's amazing, how to win, that book, How to Win Influence People and Make Friends, or whatever that Dale Carnegie book is. You can really take that mindset into writing your emails by using ChatGPT. So whatever your mood is, the outcome will be more beneficial if you have a positive and nice tone with what you're communicating in an email. And so you can certainly use ChatGPT to have the right tonality so that it elicits, the response that you're hoping for in the response from who you're sending the email to, for sure. So why don't we dive into, we'll talk a little bit about an AI-enabled tech stack, and then we'll get into the demonstration of some of these solutions. So I'll just quickly speak about HubSpot because I've already talked about it a bit, but can summarize your contact information and help you prepare for meetings, and it does some automatic note taking. At Katana, so if we're thinking of a manufacturing business, we've got automatic sales order creation. So there's different ways that sales orders can be created. Our AI tool can certainly help automate this process. We actually had one customer, it took them about 6 hours a day prior to this AI tool to enter in their sales orders manually on a day-to-day basis. That had a number of line items. They were getting these emailed PDF orders. So now they could take that PDF, just upload that into Katana, and it took that time frame, which used to take 6 hours, and roughly takes them about 10 to 30 minutes a day using the AI order entry bot. So it speaks to how efficient that can really help a business just from one simple aspect of entering in orders into the system. Um, and then you look at Intuit and QuickBooks. So Helena, what are some of the way AI is helping businesses that are using QuickBooks?
For sure. So we've had a lot, there's been a lot of technology in the back end to help with, um, you know, in the bank feeds. A lot of people understand the bank feeds. There's stuff being done in the back end to predict where, well, there's obviously matching happening, but there's also matching transactions, but also predicting what accounts they should be going to or the vendors they should be going to based on prior transactions and behaviors. And that's been around for a while. It's been getting better and better, which is awesome. They do have within their dashboard some cash flow functionality there. Still, working on it. They're still working on it. So it's, for me personally, I need to kind of understand how it's doing the calculations. Like I think I was explaining to you, I want to know how it's doing its thing in the back end to validate it. So I like that, the cash flow forecast there as a starting point, and then to go validate it. And there's a lot that's happening in the US product right now because they generally will roll out new feature sets in the US first before they roll it out to the rest of the regions. And so we don't have some of the newer AI assist functionality yet, but it's coming. But this it's actually quite cool. So in the US product, you can actually take a picture of like meeting notes or documents about a client, and it'll help to create an invoice for them based on the
Wow.
notes of that information. So I was just checking out in the US product, you can, there's ways that you can just put little bits of information and it'll generate an invoice. But it says here you can snap a photo of notes and documents after a client visit, and Intuit Assist can convert it to an estimate or invoice in minutes. It can also help personalize messages to your clients. So from the bid to final follow up, you'll spend less time sweating the details. I think that's super cool because I know that's something that a lot of people struggle with. And I'm not sure how it's going to figure out what your pricing should be and all that. So there's lots of questions there, but it's a unique use case that I haven't really heard a lot of other apps tackle. So it should be cool.
Yeah, very cool. And I just brought up, and I think you can maybe see it on your end, Helena.
Yeah,
So this is QuickBooks Online, and you can see sort of some of the dashboards that will be AI enabled and helping businesses forecast their cash flow. For an accountant, identify what they should be charging a customer after a conversation. So very cool how they're utilizing AI to help extend out the service offering that an accountant or even a business owner can
mm-hmm.
charge their clients. So very neat.
Yeah.
On the HubSpot side, just to kind of give an example, I'm just looking at myself here, but I've got this great summary that HubSpot, pulls up automatically at the top of the screen. I can go and ask questions if I want more detailed information, and I can go and ask Copilot some specific questions, and it'll give me information relative to Sean Coltis that I might be looking for to find out. And when you look at Katana, so you can see Katana does have this integration into HubSpot and to Shopify. So those orders are coming in the other way that those orders are getting into Katana. So through this AI enabled tool, it'll actually help you create a sales order. So when we look at that sales order creation, whether I'm just typing in the information here, I actually had a customer that they get a lot of their orders through text message. So what they did is they set up an iPad that those text messages come into, and they can just copy the text message order, paste that into the prompt here, and that automatically goes and generates that
Cool.
sales order. You could also just go and attach the PDF file here. So you would just go find that PDF file, and that would then attach that into the prompt and create your sales order. So automatically, that's what I did here. And that's going to go in and create the sales order within Katana very quickly. So what may have taken you quite some time to go and enter in each one of these, all the details will automatically be brought in with the customer, the ship to address, reading off of that PDF file format. And the cool thing about it is it doesn't need to be formatted in any particular way. The
Mhm.
AI tool can read the data set in really almost any format and sort of put it into the right way so that it creates a sales order in Katana. The other thing Katana can do is it can analyze what's going on. So we have this sales analysis tool built into Katana. So I was just testing it out before the call here. So I had asked it, show me my revenue by month. So it went and looked
Awesome.
at my revenue on a monthly basis and sort of give me a snapshot of what's going on there. And then I had some other question, where are my bottlenecks? And it gave me some specific things to look at within Katana and actually linked out some help articles. So
Very cool.
it allows me to even utilize the tool more effectively by saying, hey, here's some areas you should look at getting some training on if you really want to identify where your bottlenecks are in Katana, because that's a big question.
Mhm.
So it identified some key things that you can dive into. So it's really cool how the AI tool is helping you from an efficiency standpoint, enter orders into the system, but from an efficiency standpoint and analyzing where I might need to see some improvements, I can ask those questions and it can give me some direct answers to that. So some really
That's very
cool
cool.
things on that front. And then one of the other aspects is this Katana consultant bot that will follow up with everyone with an email so they'll have access to it. But this is just a great way. We built into the back end some data that anyone can utilize. So for example, I can just click this question, how can I integrate QuickBooks Online with Shopify? And so it'll give us some questions or answers, or it'll give us some answers around this, searching through the knowledge set and identifying some ways. So you can, integrate QuickBooks directly to Shopify. You can integrate Shopify into Katana that will then push orders over into QuickBooks. So there's lots of different ways that you can utilize this AI bot that we'll make available to everyone. So I'll
Super
pause
cool.
this here and we'll jump back in. Yeah, any comments there, Helena, on some of the different tools that a manufacturer can use today and they can
I
start
think just
implementing into their business?
I love Kai. I think just being able to ask it questions and get some better insight into what's going on. Like I said, we still need to validate it, yada yada. But I think it's just going to get people a bit more curious too. It's going to be create a bit of it more of a behavioral change within organizations to be curious about what's happening and how to make improvements. I think it's very easy for people to get stuck in the way that they do things and just do it that way all the time, knowing that there's inefficiencies and there's problems, but not really knowing how to solve them and just giving up on them. I find when I work with manufacturing companies, I usually do interviews with everybody on the team, and it's a little bit of a one-on-one therapy session sometimes where they talk about all the things that are
Of course.
difficult and not working, and they can't get what they need from that person, or this is always an issue with this customer. And so there's not a lot of like solution focus. It's a lot of like whinging, complaining, but carry on doing the same thing kind of
Right.
mentality. And so just being able to have some other ways and mechanisms to get answers to things or to help them think about how they might be able to make improvements will I think help to change the culture a little bit too in manufacturing to be a little bit more not innovative, but just being more open for change. It's an industry that can be a bit more stuck when it comes to change management. So, we're basically going from like very low tech to extremely high tech very quickly for that industry, which is exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you kind of touched on some of the things businesses can do to adopt AI. They can build trust and knowledge. Like you said, they can start to test out different things,
Yeah.
and they can build confidence in utilizing tools that are available to them today. They can look at adopting technology that is AI enabled, be that HubSpot, QuickBooks Online, Katana, Zoom. Those are different tools that have AI not only built into the software today, but with a roadmap of how they're going to continue to build out AI for tomorrow so that you're ready to utilize, the impact of AI right away. And then engage with expert consultants. right? And I think that's, I think, a really important aspect, bringing in businesses like Entreflow to help support, that change, to help
Yeah,
understand the challenges that business is running through, and then give them suggestions and solutions to help solve for them. So they move out of this sort of living in pain to
yeah,
kind of moving towards that solution through that guidance of an expert.
for sure. Well, and you consider like a lot of manufacturing companies, they have a lot of, for them to make a shift even in just an accounting software is a big deal, right? So there's a lot of change management
Of
and
course.
fear, and what is this going to look like, and how is this going to impact people? Are people going to be upset? Are they going to leave? And then you add in, AI to that picture, and now we're maybe jumping into like whole other realms for a lot of people, right? Where they're just not quite sure if this is comfortable for them. But so having some support along the way so that they don't need to do all that change management and the conversions and the understanding the software and understanding what it can do on their own is helpful, to make sure that their team is set up for success and that it's a successful conversion, right? And that everyone's leveraging things that the way they should be.
Yeah, totally. It makes perfect sense. And I think in today's day and age, just like technology has gone towards this best of breed approach where you have
Yeah.
specific solutions like Katana as an inventory solution, QuickBooks Online as a financial solution, HubSpot as a CRM, Shopify as an e-commerce. You also have that from the service providers within your business. So a fractional CFO, a business advisor. These are, best of breed service offerings that businesses can take on today, because no longer do you have those expertise built into your current employees, and it's too expensive to hire them on full time. But you can still gain that expertise by working with experts to help adopt new technologies and make your business scale more efficiently.
Sure.
So how do you prepare your tech stack for AI? When you're looking at your your current business challenges, make sure that you're adopting cloud-based technology that solves your core business challenges. So what are the challenges? And then identifying the best solutions for that. In that software selection, make sure that it creates efficiencies throughout that business. And then prioritize solutions that are already utilizing AI, but also have open APIs as well as built-in API capabilities. And so the open API is really important because the data is what AI will really be able to leverage and add efficiencies into your business. So if your data isn't available, it's going to be very difficult for you to really get the full impact of AI, because you just don't have something that AI can really leverage to sink its teeth into and provide you that analysis that can really add efficiency into your business, as well as automate tasks throughout your organization. So
Mm-hmm.
those are some of the things that you can look at in preparing your tech stack. But we did want to leave some room for questions.
For sure.
So why don't we switch over, or did you have any comments or thoughts around that, or should we jump over to questions, Elena?
Let's jump over to questions. So if anybody has any questions, but I can maybe just add a little another point while we're waiting for questions to come in.
Yes, sounds good.
The one pushback that I get from folks sometimes, you're talking about the best of breed and this ecosystem, where we're using multiple applications to solve a bigger, unique challenge per customer. Before we used to do this monolithic approach where you'd have a one and done kind of solution. It wouldn't solve, it was actually not good for anybody, but it was kind of okay for most people, right? And now we've moved
Right.
to this ecosystem where you've got, your core software and it integrates with a lot of things. And so you're getting all your workflows through those APIs, you're getting your data flowing where you need to, you're making it easy for all parts of the company to get the best kind of applications for what they need to do, as opposed to this system is great for accounting, so operations can just deal with it. The one kind of pushback I get from people often is, okay, well then how many applications are we going to be using? Like, it seems like a lot for a team to have to learn all these tools. And a lot of times, most people on the team are not using all of the applications, right? It's usually a kind of a handful of people. So that kind of eliminates the list down a little bit. And a lot of them are quite easy to use. Like you talked about with Katana, it takes, about 6 weeks and then you're up and running, which is really remarkable given the complexity of manufacturing these days. But they're easy to pick up and they're easy to learn. So it doesn't feel like it is such a big hurdle. And also, you ask any person to show you their smartphone, and I bet you they've got more than 30 apps on their smartphone, right? So it's
Right.
already part of our normal behavior in our personal life.
Exactly.
It's just bringing that mentality into our work life.
Totally. So we do have a question here. It's more of a comment by Janos, and just recognizing that AI is not at the stage that it's going to replace human activities without supervision. So it's not going to remove, take people's jobs away, essentially. What AI is, it's going to make jobs, people more efficient. And I think of AI as really this really general technology, much like the internet or electricity. It's not something that comes in and does a specific task. So I think of like maybe inventing electricity, candle makers were in some trouble, but overall it brightens everyone's day. So when you think of AI, I think it helps with businesses uh, take specific tasks and become much more efficient with that individual employee accomplishing that task. And overall, that'll allow that business to be competitive, not only in their immediate market, but global markets, which today we have to be really cognizant of. So that's where I see sort of AI today, as it really helps the individual just become much more efficient. Any thoughts or closing remarks, Helena, that you'd like to leave us with?
Yeah, and I appreciate Yanis's comment there too. You know, we can't fully trust everything, right? So there is we need to approach it cautiously as well. Like I said, make sure you're validating the information and understand how it works, right? Because at the end of the day, I think for AI, for me, there's a big difference between efficiency and effectiveness. And so efficiency is doing what you do, but faster, and effectiveness is doing the right thing faster. And so I think we'll start off with it being helping us with our efficiency, but where the real true value is going to come, especially with the analytics, is helping us to be more effective at the end of the
Mm,
day, so that we can make better decisions and leverage the technology to get us to those decisions faster. But we have to be able to trust that it is actually sending us in the right direction at the end of the day, right? Otherwise, you're going to be completely ineffective.
that's right. And things are changing, and so starting to adopt the tools today will help you be more effective for tomorrow. That's for sure. Well,
Yes.
thank you everyone for your time today. Thank you, Helena, for sharing your insights and
Thanks for
expertise.
having me.
We really appreciate it. So certainly, if anyone is looking for some support within their business, be it from a financial or technology operations perspective, Entreflow is an excellent business that can certainly help you address challenges that you have from those perspectives. We will be sending out a follow-up email with the recording, as well as the Katana AI consulting bot, so you'll have access to that. We really appreciate everyone's time today. We hope you walk away with a little bit more information around how AI can help improve your business, especially manufacturers, some examples of a tech stack that is AI enabled, and maybe a little bit more confident in starting to utilize different AI tools in your everyday life. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Have a lovely day, everyone.